The tennis world had just watched Alex Eala walk off the Berlin Open center court after her Cinderella run came to an end at the hands of Linda Noskova in a heartbreaking semi-final defeat. But while fans were still processing the loss, the Filipina sensation was already on the move, not back to Manila and not retreating to a hotel to rest, but heading straight into a new battleground. Less than 48 hours after her Berlin exit, she arrived at the Bad Homburg Open with something nobody expected. Not exhaustion, not regret, but fire, a shocking appearance that left players and fans speechless and immediately raised one question: what had changed in such a short time? Bad Homburg, Germany, June 22, 2026. A black sedan pulled up to the private entrance of the TC Bad Homburg just as the morning mist began to lift, and the tournament, a WTA 500 event and the final grass court warm-up before Wimbledon, was already alive with the energy of the world's best players. But the atmosphere shifted the moment the door opened and Alex Eala stepped out. She looked different. Not broken, not tired, not defeated. The same woman who had walked off the Steffi Graf Stadion just 2 days earlier, her dream run ended by Linda Noskova in a painful semifinal, now carried herself with something sharper, something fiercer. Her racket bag hung over her shoulder, her jaw was set, and her eyes, once glistening with emotion in Berlin, now carried a burning intensity that only comes from a competitor who has been counted out and refused to stay down. Less than 48 hours after her exit in Berlin, Alex Eala had arrived in Bad Homburg not as a defeated player, but as someone on a mission, and the whispers began instantly. She's here, she's playing, she had just lost in Berlin. So how was Alex Eala already here? The answer was simple. Her run in Berlin had pushed her ranking from number 35 to number 30 in the world, securing a historic Wimbledon seed and making her the first Filipino ever to earn a seeded position at a Grand Slam. On top of that, she had been awarded a main draw wildcard into the Bad Homburg Open, a WTA 500 event serving as the final grass court preparation before the All England Club. But what looked like a routine opportunity quickly turned into something much bigger. As she walked through the players' entrance, news of her arrival spread instantly. The Filipina sensation wasn't just here to compete, she was here to make a statement. And when the tournament confirmed her doubles partnership with 7-time Grand Slam champion Venus Williams, the tennis world erupted. A legend paired with a rising star on the same side of the court transformed Bad Homburg into the most talked-about stop of the grass season. And Alex Eala's presence suddenly carried a different kind of weight. Bad Homburg, Germany, June 22, 2026. TC Bad Homburg, the draw announcement. The wild card had been granted weeks earlier, long before anyone saw what she would achieve in Berlin, but now it meant something entirely different. This wasn't just an invitation, it was validation. A WTA 500 event designed as a Wimbledon warm-up had become a proving ground for a player who had already shaken the rankings, beaten a world number 2, a former world number 3, and a Queen's Club champion in the same run. She was no longer just a wild card. She was a threat, and standing across the net in her opening round match was someone who understood exactly what that meant. Elise Mertens, the experienced Belgian ranked number 24 in the world, had already beaten Eala twice before, and their most recent meeting had ended in a humiliation that still lingered in memory, a brutal 6-2, 6-1 defeat at the Madrid Open just 2 months earlier, where Elise Mertens had dismantled Alex Eala's game in only 76 minutes, exposing the gap between where she was and where she wanted to be. But this was not Madrid. This was grass. And Eala was not the same player anymore. The wild card she had been given weeks ago was no longer a simple invitation. It had become a weapon. The tennis world was watching closely. The Bad Homburg draw was stacked with talent, yet all eyes kept drifting back to the Filipino wild card who had arrived not as a participant, but as a contender. Bad Homburg, Germany, June 22, 2026. TC Bad Homburg, the doubles draw announcement. The singles matchup had already captured attention. Alex Eala versus Elise Mertens, a rematch of their Madrid clash and a chance for revenge on grass. But when the doubles draw was released, the buzz reached another level entirely. Next to Alex Eala's name appeared a partner that stunned the sport, Venus Williams, the 7-time Grand Slam singles champion, 14-time doubles champion, 5-time Wimbledon winner, and one of the most influential figures in modern tennis history. A player who had defined eras of the sport now stood alongside a rising star still writing hers. The announcement shocked fans who had followed Eala's journey. Both had entered the WTA 500 Bad Homburg Open as singles wildcards, but their pairing in doubles was something else entirely, a first-time partnership that instantly became the most talked-about storyline of the tournament. The reaction online was immediate and explosive. Fans from Manila called it surreal. Some couldn't believe it was real. Others saw it as destiny colliding with opportunity. One wrote that seeing Venus Williams partner with Alex Eala felt like two eras of tennis meeting on one court. Another summed up the emotion simply, from local courts in Quezon City to sharing the stage with a legend, the moment felt unreal but earned through momentum and belief. And just like that, Bad Homburg was no longer just a warm-up event. It had become the center of the tennis world, and Alex Eala's story had shifted again, from breakout run, to revenge arc, to something much bigger. A stage where history, pressure, and possibility were all colliding at once. Alex Eala had described it earlier in the season as a childhood dream. "I am really excited," she said when asked about the possibility of sharing a court with the Williams sisters. Venus is such a trailblazer and continues to do so much for the sport. Women's tennis has been a trailblazer for women's sports, and she is a big part of why that is. Now the dream was no longer hypothetical. The duo was scheduled to face Alexandra Osborne and Catherine Harrison in the opening round on Tuesday, and suddenly the stakes went far beyond a simple doubles match. For a 46-year-old legend and a 21-year-old rising star, this partnership represented something larger than winning points. It was about legacy, mentorship, and the symbolic passing of experience from one generation to the next. Every rally would carry meaning, and every match would be watched with global attention. Bad Homburg, Germany; Manila, Philippines. Multiple locations, June 22, 2026. The announcement had barely settled before the tennis world erupted. The hashtag #EalaVenus shot to #1 across the Philippines, the United States, Germany, and the United Kingdom. Within minutes, fans who had followed Eala's rise from junior promise to world number 30 were now facing a surreal reality. Their champion would be sharing the court with one of the greatest players in tennis history. In Manila, reactions poured in. One fan wrote, "Venus Williams, a 7-time Grand Slam champion, a legend, and she's partnering with Alex Eala. I'm not crying, you're crying." Another posted, "From cracked courts in Quezon City to sharing a court with Venus Williams. This is not a dream, this is real life." A third added, "The last time they shared a court, Alex and Eva Jovic beat Venus and Alina Svitolina in Auckland. Now they're partners. This is the greatest timeline." Tennis journalists and analysts quickly tried to frame the moment in context. One analyst summed it up simply, "This was not just a draw highlight, it was a generational collision." A 46-year-old icon who had seen every stage of the sport, paired with a 21-year-old rising force still writing her own story. The contrast in age, style, and experience made it compelling, but what made it significant was the mentorship layered beneath it. Venus Williams had lived through every pressure the sport could offer. Now she would stand beside Eala, guiding her through the intensity of the biggest stages. And for Eala, the opportunity was not just tactical, it was transformational. This is the fulfillment of a childhood dream. Current and former players quickly added their voices to the growing buzz. Coco Gauff, who had faced both Venus Williams and Alex Eala, posted, "Venus and Alex, this is going to be special. Two fighters, two legends in their own right. Can't wait to watch." Billie Jean King, the 39-time Grand Slam champion and longtime advocate for women's tennis, also shared her perspective. "Venus Williams has always lifted up the next generation. Partnering with Alex Eala is another example of her grace and generosity. This will be a beautiful pairing to watch." The duo was scheduled to face Alexandra Osborne and Catherine Harrison in the opening round on Tuesday, not before 5 a.m. Manila time. For a 46-year-old legend and a 21-year-old rising star, the partnership was about far more than winning matches. It was about legacy, mentorship, and the symbolic passing of a torch from one generation to the next. And the tennis world would be watching every single point. Bad Homburg, Germany, June 22, 2026. TC Bad Homburg. The days ahead. The final point had already been played. The scoreboard read 6-2, 6-4. Alex Eala had done what no one expected. She had dismantled Elise Mertens in straight sets, avenging her humiliating Madrid defeat and advancing to the second round of the Bad Homburg Open. But the victory meant more than revenge. It was validation. Proof that her Berlin run, where she defeated a world number 2, a former world number 3, and a streaking Queen's Club champion, was not a fluke, but the beginning of something far bigger. And with Wimbledon just days away, the timing could not have been more significant. The Grand Slam cutoff for seeding had fallen on June 22, the very day of her victory over Mertens. Eala, who had entered Berlin ranked number 35 after her breakout run, had climbed to number 30 in the live rankings, just one spot shy of her career high of number 29, achieved in March 2026. Now, she was safely inside the top 32, guaranteeing her a seeded position at the All England Club, and just like that, everything had changed again. The victory over Mertens would add even more points to her total, but the ranking implications, important as they were not the only source of motivation. "Every time I step on the court, I'm playing for the Philippines," she had said earlier in the tournament. "That's always in the back of my mind. That's what drives me." The Bad Homburg Open stood as the final grass court warm-up before Wimbledon. Eala had entered with a singles wildcard and a doubles partnership with Venus Williams, a dream pairing marking the first time the two would officially compete together on the same side of the net. Both players had received main draw wildcard entries, but for Eala, the significance went far beyond entry lists. The partnership with Williams represented the fulfillment of a childhood dream. She had grown up watching the Williams sisters dominate Wimbledon, modeling parts of her own game on their blend of power and precision, never imagining she would one day share a court with one of them, not as an opponent, but as a partner. "I am really excited," she had said earlier in the season. Venus is such a trailblazer and continues to do so much and has done so much for the sport. The duo was scheduled to face Alexandra Osborne and Catherine Harrison on Tuesday, not before 5 p.m. Manila time. For a 46-year-old legend and a 21-year-old rising star, the partnership was about more than winning matches. It was about legacy, mentorship, and the symbolic passing of experience from one generation to the next. Bad Homburg, Germany. The road to Wimbledon. The tournament was only the beginning. Wimbledon would follow on June 29th, the most prestigious stage in tennis, where Eala would walk onto the grass courts as a seeded player for the first time in her career, the first Filipino ever to earn such a position at a Grand Slam. She would carry the hopes of 115 million Filipinos with her, a responsibility she had learned to live with over time. She had carried it through the ranking pressure, through fitness concerns, through long nights in hotel rooms and early morning practices, through doubt and expectation in equal measure. And still, she kept moving forward, one match, one moment, one step closer to the sport's biggest stage. She had carried it through Birmingham, through Berlin, through every match that had brought her to this moment, and now she was ready. The grass season continued, the Bad Homburg Open awaited, and Wimbledon was coming. Alex Eala, the 21-year-old from Quezon City, who had already defied expectations and battled her way through the WTA circuit, stood on the edge of something bigger. She was not afraid. Not anymore, and the next match was already waiting to bombshell. Alex Eala's shocking arrival at the Bad Homburg Open left fans and players speechless just 48 hours after her heartbreaking semi-final exit at the Berlin Open. The Filipina sensation arrived not as a defeated player, but as a woman on a mission. Eala received a main draw wildcard into the WTA 500 event and is set to face world number 24 Elise Mertens in the first round. She has climbed from number 35 to number 30 in the world rankings, just one spot shy of her career high of number 29, achieved in March 2026. Now firmly inside the top 32, she is guaranteed a seeded position at the All England Club. But the biggest shock came when the doubles draw was released. Eala will partner with 7-time Grand Slam champion Venus Williams in a dream pairing marking the first time the two will officially compete together. The tennis world erupted. Filipino fans celebrated. And Alex Eala once again proved that even in moments of defeat, She remains a champion in motion that we bring you the latest in women's tennis. From thrilling match highlights to the moments that define careers. Subscribe now for daily WTA news and stories that go beyond the scoreboard. Drop a comment. Can Alex Eala and Venus Williams make a deep run in doubles at Bad Homburg?